You're a baddie, and you always have more than enough money for iced coffee. You're an elite manifester, and you have great taste. That's why these two affirmations resonate with you and brought you to a manifestation podcast that's like no other. Josie the Mustang created the Lua Nova podcast in 2023 with one mission in mind: to help people heal and reach their highest potential. With just an old iPhone and a random recording app she found, Josie created what is now a popular manifestation podcast because of people like you. Every Monday, there are brand new episodes ranging from collective tarot readings to the latest in manifestation-related content. And if you prefer to hear this show without ads, you can join Patreon for only $2 a month plus tax. Go to patreon.com/the Lua Nova podcast to join. And thank you from the entire Lua Nova podcast team. We're so happy you're here.
Bon dia, new moons. I am Josie the Mustang, the Afro-Latina goddess of witches, and you are aligned with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast. And in today's episode, I am happy to announce that we are getting back to our regular format. And I just remembered something that was supposed to be in my docket that I can go ahead and announce now. I literally put a note, hey, just leave a blank space for me to write this in just in case I forget. Type this in, whatever, on my iPad, okay? Just I told my team, give me the option to remind everybody of this. So now that we are getting back to our regular format, I do want to discuss a little bit of what I can tell you about season 5 of the Lua Nova podcast. Next season, there will not be any series. So you know how the Zodiac Island series just wrapped up? If the Zodiac Island series comes back, it will return in season 6, not in season 5. And the reason for that is that I want to be able to wrap everything that I teach up in one episode. It came about when I was watching a TikTok video and she said, come back or like for part 2. And I don't know about you, but that annoys me. And it made me feel like, wait a second, that's essentially what I'm doing to my audience, is I'm telling them I have to draw this out in at least 7 episodes. The only time sometimes it does make sense. Sometimes I'm teaching about one thing that still falls under one umbrella, such as the chakra series, okay, that I taught about last season. Each chakra of the 7 main chakras needed its own episode, right? But I'd rather not do that format all of the time. And so what I'm going to try is an experiment next season where there will not be any series. So if I want to teach you about something tarot related, there won't be these episodes are about the swords, these episodes are about the wands, you know what I mean? I would rather just be like, actually, here's a quick overview for all of tarot. You know what I mean? And that is just strictly an example. Let me put my phone on silent, because I promise you it never fails it. The second I start recording, everybody in the universe needs to reach me. And I'm not talking about text from the universe, which is also back today. I'm happy. Can't wait to get that text. I don't know about you. Pretty excited. But here is what we will be discussing today on the Lua Nova bulletin board. I have the following. The Patreon updates. Patreon. I want to tell you about something that I'm sure by now you already know, but because it's already been posted for you, just like this episode will be posted before everybody else gets it. But I'm going to be giving you a very special update that only you will have access to. Okay. And this is the $5 tier that will have this access. And another album of mine. Now I know that I discussed an album that is coming out next year, but you see, I'm referring to an album that is coming out this year. 14 tracks total. I chose the number 14 because it is significant to my life. I'll talk about that in the future. Maybe, maybe not. And the last part of what's on the Lua Nova bulletin board is that I am teaching you a game today. as you can see by the title. You are going to be learning a quick game from me, and then that's it for today's episode. That Text from the Universe is back. We're going to get back to dancing, and with the album that I'm going to be discussing, I really doubt you'll be dancing to it, but it is extremely significant for parts of how you go about your manifestations. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment, but for now, you already know the vibes. I need my sparkling water. One moment.
The witching season is here, and there's no better time to turn inward, reflect, and start writing the next chapter of your life. As the year begins to wind down, many people use this season to set new intentions, visualize their goals, and reconnect with themselves. And that's where Lua Nova comes in. Josie the Mustang has created a manifestation guide designed to help you shift your mindset, move with intention, and start showing up for yourself every day. From the law of attraction to the law of assumption, Lucky Girl, a guide to changing your reality, offers tools and insights for anyone ready to step into a new version of themselves. You can purchase any of Josie's ebooks from Amazon or by going to luanovapodcast.net. Patreon members have the option of purchasing Josie's ebooks and keeping the PDF, so check out these options. And now back to Lua Nova.
All right, so we're going to start off with a Patreon update. The $5 tier already knows this of the Patreon, and I'm going to be updating how we do the tarot because unfortunately some people have ruined that, and I'm not surprised. So let me hash out how I want to do the $5 tier going forward for Patreon members who pay $5 a month as opposed to $2 a month. But originally, if you paid $5 a month, Patreon members got to ask me up to 3 tarot questions. Well, people were beginning to really abuse that and not understand that, yes, I'm a tarot reader, but I also am running an entire media business. So I can't stop everything I'm doing to answer those questions. And I thought from what I've read, my team made that very clear. And so they have already started removing that option of people just being able to just ask me whatever tarot questions, because there were unfortunately people that abused it. And unfortunately those people ended up having to be blocked even. And, it's no shade to them. I know that they were overzealous. None of their questions were anything that, for instance, if it was grief related, if it was related to lost loved ones, etc., then I would have been more understanding. But when you're asking me things like, does he have a crush on me back? Well, I don't think that that's urgent, friend, especially considering that the next person might be asking me something that they consider maybe a higher priority. And so I didn't want people to feel as though they weren't important. But also, I didn't like the idea that people were beginning to abuse something that I set up for you to make it easier to ask me your tarot questions. And so that will actually be redone. In fact, that tier will be renamed, so that is not even related to just tarot. And going forward, I will now only be doing collective readings. And I hate that I have to take away that option of people being able to ask me their personal questions, but it looks like every time that I try my hardest to give an option that is lower cost or easier, meaning you have easier access to ask me these questions, it never fails that it just does not work. So going forward, I will be changing that format, unfortunately. So I just wanted to be upfront with you. If you have the $5 tier, obviously, you still have an immense amount of access beyond what you get here and beyond even the $2 tier. All right. The $5 tier, they get things like Josie's Hotline, where I'm going to be talking to you directly, telling you about what's going on in my life. We're discussing, what's going on in the world, and it's not manifestation related. You know what I mean? So things of that nature. For instance, this week, I think I'm going to put up a Josie's Hotline and talk to you about Perez Hilton. If you're not familiar with Perez Hilton, I would say he would like to probably equate himself to the Latino version of Wendy Williams. And if you all didn't know that he's Latino, he is, but he is. And things like that are what's under Josie's Hotline. There's just a lot more that is under the $5 tier. This isn't even an ad. I'm just, going over that. But I needed to give that Patreon update. Also, Patreon members that are under the $5 tier, you got access to something within the past week or so that I'm about to discuss. So, moving on to that. I have created a lo-fi album. If you're not familiar with what lo-fi is, it is essentially what people study to. It's what they journal to. It is what people relax to, meditate to, etc. All right. And when it comes to the realm of manifestation, it is used a lot. And so I found myself wanting my own album. Yes, I can go to, for instance, YouTube, look up Lo-Fi Girl and listen to her channel, which I do. But then I was like, I really want to create my own based on the sound that I want. So I learned how to make lo-fi, and then I made 14 tracks for you. Actually, it's 16, but 2 of them didn't make it. I think eventually I'll put them on a different lo-fi album. And so when I was uploading this album, I realized that I couldn't put it under my regular artist name, that I had to be essentially mentioned as the featured artist because I created it as Josie the Mustang. However, there's not one artist. It's not me singing. It's not any variation of me singing, nothing like that. So it's not my voice at all. But because I created it and I'm already a musical artist, I had to be listed. So if you, once the album comes out, you'll see why I was listed as the second artist on here. But the first artist is called Lua Nova Lo-Fi, and it is just a lo-fi channel and a lo-fi area of Lua Nova. As you know, there's a lot of different areas, from my books to my music to even the Patreon. All of it falls under the Lua Nova umbrella. And what you will be getting are different volumes. So for instance, this first lo-fi album was created with autumn in mind because that's my favorite season, but it was also created with a nostalgic point of, with a nostalgic memory and point of view in mind. Okay. So at the beginning of the pandemic, when I started working from home, at the time I was still working for a company. And I just realized, I was like, wait, don't say the name of that company. I was working for a finance company, and it was the first time I was ever working from home with Hoshi there. And I enjoyed every moment of that, especially because little did I know that I would only have a few more years with him left. But if you've ever had a dog or a cat, anything like that, you know that they love when you're there because now they get to be in your space with you. And so after work, this was again at the beginning of the pandemic, we weren't allowed to just go anywhere. I could take Hoshi outside, yes, but I couldn't just go to the gym, things like that. And so it changed up my routine. And so I would listen to this particular playlist that I created that I believe is still on Spotify. And I then would also listen to lo-fi to relax, but also to keep Hoshi relaxed. Hoshi was a very anxious dog, and around me, he would calm down a lot. We're both very anxious to begin with. So unfortunately, I'm sorry, sidebar, I still have a hard time talking about Hoshi in the past tense. I think I always will, but I loved that time of my life. And so 2 of the tracks on my lo-fi album are based on that time of my life. One is called Hoshi Sleeping, and it is about me thinking about how peaceful he always looked and how comfortable he looked, and wondering, man, why does the humans never look that comfortable? When an animal is comfortable, they are sprawled out, legs kicked back, cats will lay on their back. And so it was with that idea in mind. And I think those of you who have pets, you will particularly love that one. And I think that that entire album was not only based on that period of my life, but it was also based heavily on how much I enjoy a cozy home and wanting to create this cozy sound for you when you're journaling, when you are doing this method that I'm going to be telling you about in the near future, where you have to do a lot of writing, where you have to do a lot of concentrating. Maybe you're doing the 369 method, anything where it's related to manifestation. I wanted you to have background music to do that. And so that's why I was like, this album has to be longer than my other 2 releases, because my other 2 releases are pop songs. So you're supposed to dance to that. You're supposed to drive to that, get ready with that, etc. And this, on the other hand, is a very different vibe. And the reason why I mentioned my Patreon members is that the $5 tier gets to hear one of those songs in full, okay? And it will stay up for you, Patreon, and the album comes out at the end of September. I'm trying to decide how to go about that listening party, because it's very different than when I release music that obviously has lyrics in it, right? So what I think I'm going to do is put it into a bonus, and mostly the Patreon will get the majority of that album, and the regular public, you all will get to hear at least 3 of those tracks, okay? So I'm not sure how I want to go about it, but that's something that I wanted to announce. And let me see if there's anything else that I want to get into before we jump into this game. And I didn't give it a very good name, this game that I like to play that will help you with your manifestations, but you feel free to name it whatever you want. And the only thing that you need to play this game is a positive point of view. All right. So with that being said, let's play.
This is Lua Nova, and Josie doesn't do just one thing in the Lua Nova realm. If you want this podcast early and completely ad-free, you can join the Patreon for just $2 a month at patreon.com/the Lua Nova podcast. You can also download the Patreon app and search for Lua Nova there as well. That gets you early access to every episode, no interruptions, no ads, just the full new moon experience. If you want more, the $5 tier includes bonus content, exclusive episodes, celebrity and hot topic tarot readings, and Josie answers your tarot-related listener questions directly. And wait, there's more! You can stream Josie the Mustang's music on Spotify, Apple Music, and all major platforms. Josie's music includes Ethereal Pop Alchemist, 2 bonus tracks, and the Summer Solstice EP. All are a collection of manifestation-ready dance tracks designed to help you stay aligned. Oh, and between me and you, I happen to know that Josie has more music coming. If you're stepping into your goddess era, Aphrodite's Algorithm is available as an ebook and audiobook experience through goddessoflove.net, and also through Patreon, where members can purchase it directly and download the PDF to keep. And for mindset and manifestation work, Lucky Girl, a guide to changing your reality, is also available on Amazon or directly through Patreon, where members can also download and keep their copy permanently. Everything mentioned in this episode can be found in the show notes or by going to luanovapodcast.net, so check the links below for direct access. So whether you're listening, reading, streaming, or shifting your reality, Lua Nova the brand has you covered.
Every manifestation story begins somewhere. For some people, it starts with a single podcast episode. For others, it's a song that speaks to them at just the right moment, or a book that changes the way they see themselves. However your chapter begins, Lua Nova was created to be a place where manifestation, spirituality, creativity, and self-growth come together. Created by Josie the Mustang, Lua Nova has grown into an expanding collection of weekly podcast episodes, original music, manifestation guides, and exclusive content, all designed to encourage intentional living and personal transformation. If you're ready to explore everything Lua Nova has to offer, visit luanovapodcast.net to learn more. And thank you for listening.
So before we get into this game, you gotta be in the right mindset, okay? I want to mention something. You don't need to wait until you're feeling discouraged, because this game was actually created for when you're feeling discouraged, but I want to make it clear that you can play this game no matter what. You can play it when you're having the best day of your life, the worst day of your life, whatever you feel is right for you. Anytime. Personally, I like to play it whenever I notice myself becoming impatient about something that I'm manifesting, alright? It helps me reconnect with my own trust and my own faith. It helps me to get excited, and it gives me the feeling that the manifestation is already making its way toward me. All right. And I call it simply the Lua Nova Manifestation Signs game. Okay. Of course, everything has to be with my brand name in the front of it, but you can name it whatever you want. I'm not the only person that has ever played a game like this. This is not exclusive to just me. I'm sure there are 10 billion variations of it. So whatever works for you. Okay. But this is simply how I like to do it. I personally know that the universe is always communicating with us in all ways and at all times. And sometimes those signs are going to be subtle, and sometimes they're incredibly specific. And what's fun about that is that you can't help but smile when those specific signs happen, all right? And this game is supposed to be a fun way of inviting communication from the universe into your daily life. Because as I told you before, we are going to get back to the fun side of manifesting. So now do you get at least that part of the rules, so to speak, of the game. Okay. Those are the rules. And so here is the second part, which is how to play the game.
Here's a fun fact about Lua Nova. The person behind this podcast probably isn't what you would expect. Josie is a practicing witch and has been a tarot reader for several years. But if you're expecting the typical witchy aesthetic, think again. For instance, her favorite color is pink. She's been collecting Hello Kitty since she was a child, and she's built Lua Nova around the idea that spirituality doesn't have to fit inside a single box. Josie is Afro-Brazilian and Mexican-American, and the name Lua Nova, Portuguese for new moon, is both a nod to her heritage and to the moon's importance in her spiritual practice. She creates popular manifestation music, which is available on major platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. She's written ebooks on manifestation and personal growth. And most of the work that goes into her podcast, music, and ebooks are all done by her. If there's one thing you will immediately notice about Lua Nova, it's that this isn't about selling expensive courses or telling you there's only one right way to be spiritual. It's about manifestation, an improved self-concept, trusting your intuition, and creating a life that feels peaceful. If you would rather listen to Lua Nova without these ads, you can join the Patreon for just $2 a month. Go to patreon.com/the Lua Nova podcast or download the Patreon app and search for the Lua Nova podcast. The link for the Patreon is in the show notes. Now, let's get back to today's episode.
I want you to think about something that you're currently manifesting. Not something you have already manifested, something that you are currently manifesting. And pick one thing. Only one. It could be a new job or a new relationship, a stronger relationship, maybe a marriage proposal, more money, a new creative opportunity, a new house, a new apartment, anything that's important to you. A puppy, you all know how bad that I want a puppy. I've talked about this with Hoshi many times. I wanted a puppy when Hoshi was still here with us. So, but getting back to the game, you're going to ask the universe for a sign. The sign needs to be extremely specific because that's the exciting part of it. For example, universe, if this manifestation, insert manifestation here, is on its way to me, show me 5 yellow school buses. Universe, show me 3 red apples right next to each other. Universe, let me see 4 purple butterflies. Or, another example, universe, show me 7 people wearing the same color shirt. And then you could say, for instance, a blue shirt. And you're welcome to give the universe a time frame. For example, universe, by the end of this week, show me 3 red apples together if my manifestation is supposed to be arriving, is arriving, not supposed to be, is arriving very soon. Okay? Now comes the most important part of this game. I'm not going to pause it. There's not about to be an ad right here. No. The most important part of this game is to go live your life. Take a drive, go for a walk, visit a park, go shopping, spend the day at a museum, a theme park, the gym. The point is to be out experiencing your life instead of just sitting at home wondering when your manifestation is going to arrive. This game works better when you're out and about. Okay, you can do this game at home, but I would rather you do it when you're out and about doing anything. Running errands, it doesn't matter. At school, it doesn't matter. You're not at home. All right. Then you're going to allow the universe to surprise you. And so I'm going to tell you about how I did this game and what happened and why I originally gave you the example of 5 yellow school buses.
Have you ever noticed that Lua Nova feels like this cozy corner of the podcast world? It's one of those shows that feels like a hidden gem. From the collective tarot readings to the infectious manifestation dance songs, this isn't your average manifestation podcast. So if you've ever found yourself coming back to it, there is a way to support it if you want to. The official Cash App for Lua Nova is $Lua Nova Podcast. Again, that's $Lua Nova Podcast.
Still listening to ads like it's 2023? That's low vibrational, friend. If you want your Lua Nova podcast episodes early and completely ad-free, join the Patreon today at patreon.com/the Lua Nova Podcast. For just $2 a month, you will get early access to all episodes of Lua Nova completely ad-free. But if you're ready for the VIP treatment, the $5 tier is where our spicy new moons sign up. For $5 a month, you will unlock exclusive Patreon-only content, bonus episodes, celebrity and pop culture tarot readings, and the chance to submit your own questions for Josie to answer with the tarot. Wondering if your ex is finally getting their karma? Curious if that situationship is headed somewhere or straight to the spiritual recycling bin? Josie might just pull some cards for you. Your love life may be confusing, but the Lua Nova Patreon isn't. Download the Patreon app or visit patreon.com/the Lua Nova Podcast and join the party. Your tarot cards are waiting, and friend, they have notes. Again, that's patreon.com/the Lua Nova Podcast. Check the show notes for the link. Now, back to Lua Nova.
I was on a drive. I'm not even sure where we were going. I think we were going to a restaurant. And I was with a friend of mine. And this friend of mine was feeling very discouraged about something pretty massive that he's that he is working on manifesting. Although I'm never going to police you all saying the word trying, he's not trying. He is very much so the law of action. Okay, so he's working toward this manifestation and essentially waiting for the universe to show up. And so I told him that let's play this game, the game that I just explained to you. And this is what happened. I asked the universe to show me 5 yellow school buses if my manifestation was truly on its way soon. Keep in mind that when I asked for these 5 yellow school buses, school was already out for the summer because this wasn't that long ago. It was evening. I remember it was like already about to turn dark. And so seeing a school bus at this time of the night when school's already out for the summer was not that common. Okay. It was very unusual. And the idea of seeing them felt unlikely. In fact, I think that he thought, well, that's super unlikely. Why did you pick something that likely we're not going to see right now? And then a couple of minutes later, as we hit a red light, 2 school buses passed by. And so I looked over at my friend and I said, so do you believe me now? Are you beginning to see now how the universe works? And he said, well, I mean, but we haven't seen 5. That was 2. Okay, you got me. And so as we're beginning, we're still going along. We're not taking the long way. We're not like trying to add in extra stops, more time. I'm not the one driving, by the way. And we're not in any hurry. We drive by a school and there's a school bus parked right there. And so something told me to look over. And then there's 2 more parked in the back. You can see them. You have to really pay attention, but you can see them. So how many is that, class? 5 school buses. I wasn't looking for it. I didn't know that bus was there. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't know that school was there. I'm not familiar with that area and I don't live in that area. And so I decided, okay, well now it's your turn because now as you can see, the universe will show you signs. Sometimes you just have to ask. We live in a nice area. Keep in mind, this is a pretty big suburb that I'm referring to. And so my friend says, okay, well, I'm going to choose the same number. So universe, show me 5 Lamborghinis. It's not uncommon to see a Lamborghini in this area. I've seen everything from brand new Bentleys to, the Escalade moms. They're very common in this area, and it's just not that big of a deal to see an expensive car. So 5 Lamborghinis didn't really sound that far-fetched. I wouldn't necessarily personally have chosen Lamborghinis, because even in an area that is high-end, that's still not a car that you're going to see a ton of. But I also understand that he didn't want to say, for instance, show me 5 white Escalades, because then maybe that would have been too easy. He wanted to do like I did and say, well, what is the likelihood that I'm going to see this? So keep in mind, we still had to go home. So we waited until we were going back to our destinations, to our homes, all right? And I, on the other hand, never in my life thought this has to work. I was more excited about knowing that I would see 5 school buses. I wasn't worrying about seeing them though. I was just excited. I couldn't wait to see how the universe was going to surprise me. And so when it was his turn, every time that a Lamborghini didn't pass by, it seemed like we saw every other type of sports car and every other bright color, I noticed that it made him more and more discouraged. And so when you're more and more discouraged, what does that create? Negative momentum. And so when something has negative momentum, is it easier or harder to manifest? Exactly. And so that's why your energy plays a big part in this game. I'm not saying you can't be discouraged. As a matter of fact, the whole point of playing the game is that you might be feeling discouraged about your manifestation. But if you stay in that vibration instead of being excited about the signs and not so much the manifestation, then you're now creating negative momentum. You're now creating negative energy. You're now going against the manifestation because you've made it about the manifestation and not about the game. It's no longer fun for you. And so if you begin to feel that way, I don't want you to play this game. I want you to maybe do something else. Do something else for a while so that you even forget about this game and then come back to it. Okay? But the whole point is to approach this with trust, to be curious, to have all this wonder within you. Okay? It's not to force the universe into doing anything. The universe, that's not how that works. It's to strengthen your relationship with the universe and to remind you that your manifestation is always in motion, even if you can't see the entire path just yet. The universe often answers in ways that are far more creative than we could ever imagine. And that's actually what I wrote at the very top of my notes. Sometimes these signs are going to appear to you within minutes. Sometimes it's going to take a day. Sometimes it's going to take a week. The timing is not the point. The point is learning to recognize that the universe is always listening, it's always communicating back with you, and it does respond. And one more piece of advice that I put down here. Don't choose something because you're secretly hoping that the universe won't be able to deliver it. Choose something that genuinely excites you. And then release it. Go enjoy your life. Stay open to this. Live your life. Some of the most unforgettable signs are going to arrive when you least expect them, okay? And now that I'm not reading off of my notes, I want you to understand that the universe is inherently consistent. It doesn't understand anything but consistency, and it also doesn't understand anything but moving forward, all right? And so as you are playing this game, keep that part in mind. That when you say, show me 4 red bicycles, it's no longer about the manifestation. It's now about the frequency that you're creating, the excitement that you're creating. In class, the easiest thing to do is to manifest from a high frequency, from a happy frequency, from a joyful frequency, which is why I started making my friend play this game, is that it's not meant to discourage you. You're supposed to be having fun. Manifestation is always supposed to be fun. Yes, I know that we get into the serious side of it, the calming of your nervous system, the healing, and the understanding that manifestation is much bigger than, I don't know, I want it, I see it, I got it. It's bigger than that. It's more about, I believe in myself enough to know that no matter what, the universe always has my back. Because what is the universe, class? It's many things, isn't it? Which is why it encompasses so many things. Some of you, when you hear the words, the universe, you think of God. Some of you know that the universe is much bigger than just one idea. It's not a bunch of planets that are, trying to move things in your favor. Although their frequencies matter, that's just a small part of it. It's not strictly your guardian angels, but it's also your ancestors. It's also the deities that you may or may not work with. Because there may be deities working in your favor that you don't even know, that you're not even familiar with yet, that maybe your ancestors worked with. It's not just for those of us who have had animal spirit guides, it's not just them. It is all of them. And so that is why I always just say the universe. Okay? Because it's many different entities at once working in your favor. That energy is always meant to work in your favor. But what does that look like to you? What does working in your favor look like to you? Because working in your favor may be you working against yourself. And so that was the whole point of this game. How can I create something? How do I bring in something and make it fun? And yes, I did, in fact, receive my manifestation. It looked differently than I expected it to, but it did happen. And I'm very careful about what I say about my own manifestations because many times they are grouped together. They're a part of something. Like when I first started writing music, I originally wasn't sure about releasing the music. I originally was like, maybe I'll just make this for myself. But then the manifestation came when I did finally decide to release it. And then it began to actually do much better than I expected it to do. And then came the EP, and then came bonus tracks, and then came an entire LoFi album, and then came books, because I was like, well, I'm great at writing. Why not keep going? And so the manifestations, for me, oftentimes, they become this whole universe all in themselves. They're this whole ecosystem. And so for you, it's why I oftentimes tell people, I'm not telling you can't share your manifestations. I'm telling you to be careful about what you do share. Because one, the people who you might think are happy for you aren't. The people that you think are excited for you may not be. And so you don't really want to share something that would create negative momentum from them. And as a witch, this is why I tell people you need to protect yourself spiritually, etc., etc. But I want to hear how you played this game. Did you add something to it? Is there another element that I should have considered? Is there more to it, to your version of it? Is there less in your version of it? Are you more like, no, it has to happen right now. I want to see these signs right now. Are your signs different than mine? Do you, for instance, maybe you use angel numbers, because that's another one that is common. You can play this with angel numbers. It doesn't have to necessarily be, show me 3 butterflies. You know what I mean? It could be anything that you want. Show me 10 people that are all holding up their iPhones at the same time. And it has to be an iPhone. You know what I mean? It's all up to you. But I would love to hear your feedback. You all know by now when you go to my website, luanovapodcast.net, that right there you can see how to email me. It goes right to my team, and then it comes right to me. Okay? So, time to dance, people! Dance break!
Mueve la colita, New Moons! This is the Say Cruel Chakra segment, a brief musical interlude designed to heal your nervous system. The following track is an original work written, produced, composed, and partially performed by Josie the Mustang. All rights reserved. Let's dance!
Goddess mode activated, soul aligned and magnetic. Crisscross applesauce, sipping sparkling water. I'm laying back looking up at all the universe has to offer. A light breeze flows through the trees, kisses the feeling of peace. Protecting my peace is my priority. This is my paradise reality. I exude prosperity. I radiate serenity. My world's in perfect harmony. My world's in perfect harmony. I just pulled the sun card in tarot. I'm seeing six everywhere where I go. I allow good things in my life. I allow manifestations to flow. I just can't stop smiling. This is the best feeling. Focus on your heart. Focus on healing. I assumed it would all work out. I live as if. This level of peace and happiness is such a gift. Protecting my peace is my priority. This is my paradise reality. I exude prosperity. I radiate serenity. My world's in perfect harmony. My world's in perfect harmony. Protecting my peace is my priority. This is my paradise reality. I exude prosperity. I radiate serenity. My world's in perfect harmony. My world's in perfect harmony. Thank you to the universe. Thank you for the sun. Thank you for showing me that my purpose has just begun. And so it is. And so it is.
Before we get back into the episode, I want to tell you a little bit about Summer Solstice. This is Josie's 4-song EP of upbeat manifestation-inspired dance tracks, made for moving your hips and vibing on road trips. Summer Solstice and all of Josie the Mustang's music is available now on Spotify, Apple Music, and all music streaming platforms. And if you want ad-free listening plus early access to Lua Nova episodes, you can join Patreon for just $2 a month at patreon.com/the Lua Nova podcast. That's patreon.com/the Lua Nova podcast. You can also download the Patreon app and look up the Lua Nova podcast to become a member today. Now let's get back to Lua Nova.
Meet Lua Nova, a podcast blending manifestation, spirituality, self-concept work, and high vibrational pop music. Created by Josie, also known as Josie the Mustang, Lua Nova brings together years of spiritual exploration, tarot expertise, and a lifelong passion for manifestation. Josie has been studying manifestation since childhood and has spent years developing her own approach to personal transformation and intentional living. The idea for Lua Nova began years before the first episode ever aired. After discovering the popular podcast The Read, Josie found herself telling someone close to her how much she dreamed of creating a podcast of her own. That dream became reality on an ordinary afternoon in 2023, recorded from an old iPhone 13 in her pink living room. From that first episode, Lua Nova has grown into an entire ecosystem of spiritual content, creativity, and connection. Every week, listeners can explore manifestation techniques, astrology, tarot, and self-growth topics. And because Josie is also a pop artist, episodes feature high-energy musical interludes featuring her own music. Listen to the Lua Nova podcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you stream your favorite podcasts.
Next week, new moons. Remember that next week is when you will be getting a collective reading, and that I will be going back to the original formula where it is a collective reading for everybody and includes essentially every zodiac sign, every sun sign, moon sign, rising sign. It is not just based on just, the 12 zodiac sun signs. And this is based on your feedback and you saying that you preferred when I used to do that format. I understand. I'm glad that you all like that. It's honestly not a difficult transition for me to go back to the format that it was. And so whenever you see those readings, in the title, it will say collective reading, and then it will have the week that reading is for. Okay. So it'll have the, for instance, let's say it's July 1st. So it would be like July 1st through July the 7th. All right. And it looks like we're getting a text from the universe. One sec. Oh, we got a text from Spirit. And this week's text from the universe says, by the way, Text from the Universe is also a song that is on my debut album, Ethereal Pop Alchemist, which you can hear on major platforms like Apple Music. Okay, so this week's Text from the Universe says, 222, abundant blessings. Abundance is flowing toward you. Keep your thoughts positive and watch your dreams manifest. You see how that, oh, I love that. If this is a visual podcast, I would just put that on the screen, but it's not a visual podcast yet. Definitely something that I am working on manifesting, but also law of actioning. It takes a lot. And also there is a permanent co-host now, and her name is Hello Kitty. I have a weighted Hello Kitty. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, you know how there's weighted blankets? Well, they make weighted stuffed animals too, as many of you are familiar with, and I have a weighted Hello Kitty. And she doesn't sit on my bed. She actually sits on this very desk chair that I use, gaming chair, that I use whenever I record. This is where she lives at. And so she's now become like a permanent co-host of the Lua Nova podcast. But new moons, that is it. I'm not gonna lie, I am so happy to be back to just our regular formula. And after next week's collective reading, I will be teaching you this method that I've been working on. I have been trying it out on myself. I am always my first lab rat. I'm going to let you know how it's going. I'm excited, super excited to tell you more about that. But it's time to go, new moons. Get all your stuff. Make sure you don't forget anything.
Between me and you, I have listened to Lua Nova several times. Sometimes I even go back to old episodes while I wait for a new upload. From the collective tarot readings and manifestation talks, all of it just here for us each week, free. So if Lua Nova has ever made your day a little better, you can always send a tip through Cash App at $Lua Nova Podcast. That's $Lua Nova Podcast. All right, now let's get back to the show.
Putting out the new moons for aligning with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast. Remember to always check the show notes or go to luanovapodcast.net if you need more information. I know throughout this podcast there's a ton of ads that I have paid for that are about my podcast, about my music, Cash App, TikTok, the email address, the website. I make sure that those ads cover everything. But if you still need more information, again, the website is luanovapodcast.net. Have a safe rest of your week. Please be kind to yourselves this week. Be kind to yourselves this week. Tell me about what good news you have upcoming. I'd like to share in your good news. I'd like to tell you my good news. And Patreon members, like I said, you can listen to a preview of Lua Nova LoFi album, the Lua Nova LoFi album volume 1. You can listen to a short preview of it. You will also be getting to hear all of it. Remember, for $2 a month, you get to hear this episode and then previous episodes ad free and early. All episodes of the Lua Nova podcast come out on Monday, but Patreon members typically get this particular episode and all the ones previously on Thursday or Friday of the previous week. It just depends. I'm not sure. They always get it early. That's the point. I will talk to you next week, new moons. Email me. Let me know how your week is going. Let's share in your wins. I'll tell you all about my wins, and I can't wait to talk to you next week. Ciao, ciao.